And let me refresh the page here on my YouTube channel to make sure that we are on.
You're so techie, Stephen.
Yeah. All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. Hope you all having a great day. Welcome to the first episode of 2020 of Chit, Geek Out. I am joined today by the legend herself, Dee Wallace. I'm thrilled to have you on. How are you?
I'm great. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you very much. And and if you guys have any questions at all for Dee Wallace, let me know and put them in the live chat here. I'll also look on the Instagram. We had some questions sent in through Instagram as well. But first of all, before I start this interview, as I said, I just want to thank you again for taking the time and being on the show tonight. And thank you very much for all your talent you've given the world within the last 45 years of your career, with over 250 acting credits, with many, many titles in the film and television area of work. I'm thrilled to have you on. I'm thrilled to interview you.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm really glad to be here with you.
All right. So my first question for you was upcoming projects. I know that 13 Fanboy is a really popular one in the horror genre right now. It's getting a lot of hype. Can you tell us anything about that and any other upcoming projects you might have in the works?
Well, I went to New Mexico to shoot it. Deborah Voorhees directed it. We became instant, fast, longtime friends. It's a very strange and unique subject matter. I can't believe that nobody else came up with this idea before, to take real actresses and put them into a genre movie where they're actually being stalked,
right,
as themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very innovative idea, and it really captured my imagination. And we just had a great time shooting it. Deborah is one of the kindest, sweetest, most, gosh, how can I describe Deborah? She's just so there for her actors, so supportive. So I think the fans are going to be there's some pretty far out stuff here in this movie. I also have kind of an interesting sci-fi horror combination movie coming out called Await the Dawn.
Awesome.
Of course, with all this coronavirus stuff, you don't know when it's going to come out or what's going to happen.
Exactly.
My daughter, Gabrielle Stone, also appears in that movie.
Oh, that's awesome.
Then right before coronavirus hit, the drama of the century, I did a little horror film called The Bewailing, which is, how can I say this without giving it away? It's an insect-driven project.
Ooh.
So, I'm very lucky. Of course, I believe that you create your own luck. But I keep really busy. Really busy as an older actress.
No, you're not that old.
I don't buy into, that the older female doesn't have any work in Hollywood bullshit. I don't.
No. I don't think that people's careers in Hollywood really ever end. People of all ages act in the film industry. No one really retires.
Not unless they believe that.
Exactly. I actually watched one of your newer movies, Three from Hell, the other day. I really enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses, and I really enjoyed it. And your character was definitely different. I never seen you really play a character like that before.
I know. That's why I love Rob Zombie, because he just lets you dive in, and he believes in you and knows you can do it. And Yeah, I certainly look prettier tonight than I do in the film. There was a critic that called Rob and said, I see Dee Wallace's name on here, but I didn't see her in the movie. Did you cut her? Rob goes, no, look again.
Look again.
Look again. And I'm just one of those actresses that really loves hiding in a character like that. I don't care whether I look like shit on screen if it's a good character. I just kind of revel in getting lost in characters. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
That was great. Someone just commented in the live chat saying horror community's mother.
For the rest of my life, baby.
Now I should mention too, actually. So I'm actually in pre-production of my first horror short film. I'm 21 years old. I'm a young person still kind of getting in my career path. What advice would you give to young filmmakers this day and age?
I would say be true to yourself. If you want to do it, do it. Find a way. Don't listen to. You will have so many people hit you with it's so hard and you shouldn't. And this is what they want. And blah, 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 blah. If Rob Zombie listened to what everybody said, we'd never have a Rob Zombie film.
No, exactly.
So, you just got to follow your passion, guys. And you have to get up every morning and go, how can I? How can I? How can I? What can I do today to push this forward? And believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, it's really hard for anybody else to believe in you because they're going off the vibrations that you're putting out, right? If I had walked into Steven Spielberg's office and gone, Steven, I don't know if I can pull this off. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I'm really the actress for this. He would go, thanks for coming in. Bye-bye. So you have to know and you have to own it.
Yeah.
Go for it in your joy and then stuff happens.
Yeah. You really got to believe in yourself to be able to actually do it.
Yep. First, before anybody else does.
Exactly. Now, I appreciate the advice, and hopefully we can still shoot this year because I was supposed to shoot in August or September. So hopefully production start rolling again. Hopefully everyone's staying healthy, and hopefully this thing will go by and run its course, and hopefully we'll be okay.
Your job is to just keep creating,
and
when it is over,
you'll have material.
Everything will be in alignment for you to go.
Exactly. I'm like, with all this free time now, I'm off work. I'm like, I've been starting to do more screenplays. So it's like, just have to start getting all those creative juices rolling.
Yep. You bet.
So you worked with some iconic directors, Wes Craven's being one of my favorite, Steven Spielberg, which is icon, and Rob Zombie, who's amazing. I love his music and his films. Could you give us some memories of working with each of those people on set?
Well, the first memory that comes up about Steven is when he threw himself on one of the little people who were in the costume that somehow caught fire.
Oh, God.
And everybody froze except Steven, who threw himself on top of him, and in my memory, which I'm not saying is correct, but in my memory, rolled him on the bed, and everything was fine. Nobody was hurt or anything, but it was just such a memory for me that everybody froze except the director, which tells you why he's the director, right?
Right.
You have to understand the whole experience of ET was like really being in that family. We got it all in sequence, which is, as you know, hardly ever done.
Right.
And there was a young man that he had no legs, and
Yes.
we put him in upside down in the suit, and that's how we got that walk.
I heard that in one of your other interviews. I'm like, that's so fascinating. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. But the kids, you know, became my kids, as they do on every set.
Drew was adorable.
Yeah, well, they all were adorable and talented.
Oh, of course.
Of course, Rob is just, you know, come on in and try anything.
Right.
Try freaking anything you want to try. And, you know, like in Lords of Salem, you know, I start out as this kind of Cupid doll blonde.
Mm-hmm.
And then we give Sherry to Satan, and you see who we really are. And I'm sitting in my dressing room going, this doesn't feel right. And I ran to Rob and I said, Rob, you know, I feel like I've got to change my look because this isn't who I really am. And it's just crawling all over me. It's just not working. And this is what he did. He went, all right, how long will it take you? I said, I just want to change my look. He said, okay, you got 15 minutes. That was pretty much the extent, because he knows.
Right.
As a creative, he knows when it works and he knows when it doesn't. And it really doesn't take him much time to feel into that.
Oh, of course.
I adore working with Rob. I loved working with Sherry.
Mm-hmm.
The other movies, I didn't get to work with Sherry so much, but this one we did. And I had a great time.
That's awesome.
With her. And who's the other person you asked me about?
Wes Craven. I mean, you started like Hills of Eyes was one of his, I would say, one of his first popular movies that came out. That became a cult classic, and it was near the beginning of your career as well.
It was my first mainstream movie. The only movie I did before that was a religious film. And it kind of sums up my life, Stephen, because I'm a clairaudient channel. I have a whole healing practice. And then the other side of my life is I go do horror films. So horror films, and then I teach people how to heal themselves from fear. Works for me. But Wes, you know, Wes was very, very different than any director I've ever worked for. He started out as a college professor.
Mm-hmm.
His personality is really a college professor. Very quiet, very shy, I would say. A little introverted. And I really enjoyed working with him, but I didn't have that interaction back then. I probably thought I wasn't important enough to really interact with my director back then, you know.
Right.
But I mean, Rob is so out there and available and volatile to work with in a good way.
Of course.
You know, Stephen always there, very present. So all the, you know, I would say one of the most brilliant directors I've ever worked for is Blake Edwards. And nobody asked me about Blake Edwards. Our most proficient writer, producer, director, probably ever in the history of Hollywood. I did 10 with him.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just learned so much from watching him and working with him and working with Dudley Moore. Couldn't have asked for a nicer, safer, more creative environment to start my career in.
Yeah, it's definitely a good. That was definitely a good stepping stone for you when you were starting out. That's really amazing. I just mentioned those three names because those are three of my favorite directors that I follow constantly. Now you were just saying you do healing work. I've known that as well, and you also have come out with a few different books. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, like I said on the Clairaudient channel, in a nutshell, my strength is to be able to look into your energy and tell you where your blocks are, why you aren't or can't, because you can achieve what you want, where it started, what age you were, probably the person that gave you the limiting belief. Um, and it's a really important part of my life and empowering part of my life.
That's great. And how long have you been doing? How long have you been doing that for?
Oh gosh, over 30 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, I have clients all across the world. I worked with somebody today from Canada. I worked with somebody today from Italy, yesterday from China, and of course, a lot of people in the US, but I have clients all over the world.
Oh.
If you go to imdeewallace.com, you'll see a lot of the healing stuff.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, all of Dee's links to her website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, IMDb, all that stuff is in the description below. So go ahead and just click one of those links. Yeah, and her website pretty much has everything, and those will she has the icons you can click on her website that'll take you to her Twitter and Facebook and all that fun stuff as well. But all the links are accessible down in the description below as well. But that's great that you do that. And yeah, you also have a YouTube channel as well where you do all that stuff. I was doing some of that stuff too before our interview. That's awesome that you do that. And, as I said before the interview, you're always such a positive person. And it's nice that, you're doing that for people, you're healing them and, sending positive vibes their way. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that is our biggest job right now, right, is to put out love and positivity into the world. This whole virus thing, according to my channel, the energetic core of it is I have no control. So the more you know that you have control over your own creation, the less the virus finds you. That's my belief. Not a doctor, has nothing to do with being medically trained. Although any doctor will tell you that the happier you are, the more centered and peaceful you are, the stronger your immune system. Stress is the first thing that will shut down your immune system.
Right.
So knowing that piece of information, I'd get up every day and go, okay, how can I choose to be happy today? How can I be positive today, right?
Kind of have to.
Healthy for no other reason.
Oh, of course. And, let's say with you being that positive too, it probably makes you feel better. And that's probably that's probably why you look so young.
Oh, I love you. Come home with me, little boy.
Oh wait. And now I was gonna say too, you worked on a countless amount of television as well. I worked on Taxi, and I love The Office. And when I saw you in the appearance of one of the episodes of The Office, I'm like, that's great. You also worked on Supernatural. Do you? I know that I've interviewed other people, and working on television is obviously different than working on movies sets. Which one do you prefer? Like, is there anything that kind of, stands out to you?
If I had to answer you generally, it would be movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I much prefer movies. You have a lot more freedom in movies creatively.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't used to be that way.
Yeah.
I was doing all my movies of the week in the 80s and 90s. I was kind of the queen of movies of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was a lot of creative leeway, creative opportunity to bring in your ideas and go, that doesn't exactly how you would work on a film.
Right.
Now, a lot of the writers are the producers, and they don't want to play with their words. And sometimes you need to play with the words. A lot of times you need to play with the words. A lot of times what works on paper doesn't work in the moment. You need to be able to improvise. You need to be able to fill things in to keep the moments alive, especially in horror. And so, yeah, if I had to answer, and it's not a blanket statement because, like Supernatural, had a wonderful time shooting that. Had a lot of creative leeway to bring my ideas and stuff in, but generally, I prefer films.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. I mean, they're all different too. Like they're totally different. It's different environments. What I hear. So everyone, of course, they're gonna prefer one over the other. Yeah, you were on one episode of The Office, and obviously that's a lot of people's favorites. Like, especially people are binge watching that through Netflix. How about did you land that gig as you were Andy Bernard's mom, right?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, the director had studied with me when I taught acting because he wanted to learn from a director's perspective what the actor went through, how to work with the actor. So he called me and he said, "Would you do this for me?" And I went, "Yeah." But I have to tell you, it wasn't so much fun for me.
No?
No, I thought it was all improvised. And you could go in and just play and react with each other. No, everything's written out.
Yeah.
And I think it was just such a surprise for me that I couldn't go in and use some of my ideas.
Yeah, for sure.
I felt a little stilted and thwarted.
Yeah.
The company was amazing. The actors, the director, the company themselves, just great. But I had a whole different vision of what it was going to be like that show.
Of course. Oh, that's awesome.
I loved it.
It's interesting, learning the process, how certain people get roles like these. Because, yeah, you've done a lot of different television shows as well. And, you got to work with Danny DeVito and Taxi. That's one of my favorite older shows because I love Andy Kaufman as well. And I love Danny DeVito, especially in Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I love that show. That's awesome that you get to work with all these amazing people. And
I was scared to death when I did that because I had done all this drama, and drama was what I was known for. Right. And I'd never done a sitcom. That was my first sitcom.
Wow.
And I remember calling my agent the second day and going, I don't know what's going on. They keep rewriting the lines. And he goes, "Dee, that's what they do on a sitcom." I went, "Really? They keep changing everything?" He said, "Yeah, because they're trying to find the flow." And working with Jed was one of my great pleasures in my life. I mean, he was just phenomenal. We just clicked. We had such a connection. And because he was who he was and a regular in the show, we could play around and find the right stuff, So once I got over the shock of, holy hell, they're rewriting everything all the time, then I kind of sagged into the groove, and had a lot of fun.
It feels like you would know the answer to this because it feels like it's more common than people think that there's last minute rewrites. You would know. You've been in this industry for so long. Like throughout your time doing, shows or movies, like, is it what's it called? Is it common for rewrites, last minute rewrites here and there? All the time. That's what I figured.
And in film, it's very common because, a lot of the actors, including myself, it just doesn't work. It doesn't want to come out of my mouth. Yeah. One of the first things that I say is, please, I will try to stick with the script, but if it needs to come out of my mouth naturally, the way I'd say it. And you see on a film, they go, yeah, whatever you need to. On TV, it's like, well, we'll have to okay it with the producers.
Yeah.
And it puts a box around you. For me, quite frankly.
Yeah. I think that's harder for actors, though, because actors usually like to do improv and give their input and suggestions into playing that character. Now, you played a lot of different characters. Would there be anything with one of your past roles that you wish you played out differently?
Oh, probably a lot of them. Can't think of any right now. That's a great question. Trying to think, after 45 years, it's hard to think of everything I've done. I'm sure, especially earlier in my career, I probably looked at something and go, why the hell did I do that? I've got to say, the technique that I use, Charles Conrad's technique, you're always pretty truthful because you don't plan things out. I don't ever plan out what I'm going to do.
Right.
I learn the lines. I get my energy extremely high. Connect with the other person, and then, well, for want of a better word, I channel the character that I'm playing.
Right.
And it happens in every single film. And in every single film with a major director that I've done, they've gone, oh my God, where did that moment come from? Wait, we're going to expand on that moment. The dinner table scene in E.T., where he says, my husband's in Mexico with Sally. Well, it was great the way Stephen directed it all, because he would whisper lines to all of us, and we didn't really know they were coming. And when you're really in the moment, you love working that way. If you need to plan everything out, not so much.
Right.
So he says he's in Mexico with Sally. And I remember as Mary, the tears started coming up. And I thought, I don't want my kids to see me cry. So I got up from the table and left, which was not in the script. And Stephen comes over to me and he says, Dee, why did you do that? Why did you leave? And I told him what happened. And in that moment, he brought the crew in and said, build a kitchen set here with a sink, with running water, so I can bring her over to the sink from the table and then turn her into this big close-up where I say, he hates Mexico. And all that happened like that. And that, you see, is a sign of a really great director, because he's living and discovering the moments of truthfulness with you.
Oh, of course.
It happened when I was watching Deadly Play. And we had broken the whole set. Blake brought everybody back to get this huge close-up of me just watching Deadly Play.
Wow.
Yeah. And I can give you instances literally about every set I've ever been on. Peter Jackson in the primers. Everybody had left, and all of a sudden he went, "Oh my God, Peter, I got it. I got it." He didn't stop to ask me what I was talking. He said, "Everybody, come back now. Come back now. Set up the camera." And we rolled what I'd gotten, and that's what we used in the film.
That's amazing.
There's that level of trust, and mutual respect.
Wow.
And that really makes a difference in the magic on the set.
Oh, of course. You need that. That's the energy on the set too that makes the performance what it is as well.
Yeah.
Wow. And I have a little fun question here for you. What would your dream project be? Who would you want as your co-star? Who would you want as your director? And what would you want that movie to be about?
Anthony Hopkins. I would love to play a nun who is tortured and searching for the truthfulness of her faith, trying to make sense of it in today's world. Who would I want to direct it? Dear God.
Dead or alive?
Alan Parker.
Yeah? Good choice.
Yeah. I love all of his work.
That's great. That's awesome. Those are good answers. And yeah, Anthony Hopkins, legend. He's great.
I would give half my house to work with Anthony Hopkins. Not all of it, Anthony.
Personally, for you as a viewer, for you when you watch movies, what are some of your favorite genres? And do you have a few of your favorite movies that you usually like to watch like every year?
I don't like to watch movies over and over again.
No.
Sorry. I've been there, done that. I've had that experience. My favorite movies to watch are dramas. They can be dramatic comedies, but they say something about the human soul or the human predicament or the truth that we have in our lives. Any kind of movies like that, like Kill a Mockingbird, even The Exorcist.
It's a great film.
Oh my God, it's my favorite horror film. That and Don't Look Now. And now, The Quiet Place. I love The Quiet Place.
We're getting part 2 soon as well. Hopefully, I think it was supposed to come out this year, but now since due to the virus, I think they had to push their release date.
Well, everything.
Yeah. It's a shame. I'm looking in the live chat here. Let's see what people are saying. Someone says, Dee, I'm seriously one of your biggest fans. Someone else says, wow, the horror movie mom herself. We got a question. We got a question here. One of the fans, Horror Me, he asked, Dee, what scene from what film actually scared you during one of your productions?
That would be the scene in the car in The Howling.
Oh, yeah.
When we're trying to escape, and some asshole on the set decided it would be really fun to put blanks in the rifle.
Oh, God.
And, it was the final rehearsal right before the take. And I always mark physically everything that I do because I don't want to have to think about the physical stuff while I'm shooting.
Right.
And the gun went off.
Wow.
And they freaking lost me for 3 hours. I was hysterical.
Well, yeah, I think that would piss anyone off if they weren't aware of that was going to happen.
Well, not only that, but it's, people had died on sets already.
Right.
Like that. And it's not okay.
Mm-mm.
It's not okay to mess around with people's lives and their emotions. And I, to this day, I don't know who did it.
Really?
But I said to Joe Dante, find out who's responsible and get him off the set.
Yeah.
Because you have to, one of the reasons I'm so sensitive to it is my father and now my brother
Right.
both committed suicide with a gun. And probably the only actress who never wants to work with a gun and always frickin' has to. So I'm real sensitive to it, and it's just not okay.
It isn't.
But good question.
Yeah, and no, especially because people that like you, for example, and like other people that have gone through traumas in their life, there's something that triggers that, and it's not okay. Like this is how it is.
People don't understand that your body and your brain does not understand your acting. You're going through the same chemical changes as if you were in truly fight or flight.
Right.
That's why at the end of Cujo, they treated me for exhaustion for 3 weeks. Totally blew out my adrenals because for 8 or 9 weeks, I was in constant fight or flight. And my body didn't go, well, that's all right, she's just acting. Because chemically, actors got to get so much up to do it.
Of course.
The brain chemistry thinks it's real. That's why you've got people in the Olympics at the top of the ski slope, and they're doing this. They're going through all of the ski runs, right? Because literally their body thinks they've already done it then.
Right.
So that when they go down physically, their body acclimates to what they've already done.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I have to say too, you gave Cujo your all when you did that performance. Like, I mean, I think that's my favorite movie that you've ever done. That was actually the first horror movie I ever saw you in. And then that's kind of how I discovered you more. Because before that, when I was a kid, I saw E.T. But when I started actually getting into learning about film and learning about people that work in film, Cujo was my first movie that I saw you in. And I was mind blown.
Thank you. It's my favorite film.
It's great.
I feel like I did everything I could do as truthfully as I could do it.
Oh, yeah.
It was hell to shoot and beautiful to watch.
Yeah, there's actually a question that actually had to do with that because I was watching a documentary about the making of Cujo. Someone said on Instagram on how hot it was on set during car scenes, and did you ever find yourself uncomfortable while filming because of the heat? But what I heard is that it was actually freezing.
Yeah.
Right?
November, December in Northern California.
Yeah.
One scene, I looked over and Danny's going, and so I said, God, Lewis, is there any way they can put a heater in the car for us? Because we're freezing in here.
Yeah.
And they sawed the front of the car and put a heater in. Because, first of all, we had no clothes on.
Right.
Second of all, they had to spray us down before every take. So, we were actually, I have so many Cujo stories. For a month from my stories from Cujo.
I'll have to have you on again so you can tell us the stories.
Okay.
We're going to do a couple more fan questions, and we're going to end it off here. Someone else asked on Instagram, in real life, would you rather deal with critters, Cujo, or werewolves?
I think critters because I could just kick the shit out of them. They just roll away.
I heard that you had a hard time keeping serious when you were filming that.
Literally, we would be in this emotional moment and we'd hear, all right, roll them in.
That's awesome. Last question here that we have in the chat that we're going to answer for you guys. said, Dee, how do you think the Critters franchise over the time standed the test of time?
Well, I think it's great. I hope everybody's watched the last one on the Sci-Fi Channel that I did that came out this year. I had a lot of fun playing that because she's really a ball buster, you know. She's a tough broad. I'm playing the same character, but she has a different name. I think they had some legal things going on with that. But Critters, I can tell you from doing the conventions, has a huge fan following. You know, they just want more and more and more of it. And when they offered me this last one, I said to them, is it going to be CGI?
Right.
Oh, no, they're all going to be, you know, the puppets. I said, okay, then I'll do it.
Yeah, that makes a big difference because if they're not physically there, it's a different acting environment. You need that physical prop too sometimes.
Well, and I knew the fans would be pissed off.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like redoing Cujo with CGI. What's the frickin' point?
I know. Exactly.
Do it with real dogs and have them trained like Carl Miller did. You know, that's probably a once in a lifetime thing.
Oh, I think so.
Oh, can I give a shout out to something?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. My daughter, Gabrielle Stone, who a lot of your people know is an actress, got a lot of films under her belt. Well, she's got an amazing book out right now called Eat, Pray, #FML.
Yeah.
It's a great read while you've got to stay at home, guys. You'll see a lot of yourself in this book, and it's fun and it's really millennial, but it really empowers you, and that's what we need right now, right? There's
most definitely.
A lot of travel, a lot of drinking, but some really good messages in it. If you want to order it on Amazon, Eat, Pray, #FML.
Go check it out, guys. I actually, when it first came out and I heard about it and what the book was about, I'm like, this is interesting. Just about her life journeys and things she went through.
Yeah.
And how it can, you know, bring out others.
And being abandoned by another guy and shit we've all been through, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
As far as conventions, I know a lot of them are getting postponed. Someone was asking if you still plan on going to Texas Frightmare Weekend. Do you know how your convention scene's looking for this year since this outbreak?
Well, I have a lot of things on the books because everybody's, you know, they've shifted them. They've moved the dates into later on in the year, hoping that we come back to a semblance of health and positiveness. So I have a lot of them on the book that starts after the mid-July.
All right, awesome. Well, definitely
keep it. Shifted their dates over, yeah.
And for people that want to see where you're at, they can find that on your website as well.
Where I'm at?
Yeah, for like appearances.
Wise, I think the calendar. I don't know. That's a good question. I think the calendar, but I always post it on Facebook and Instagram and
perfect.
All that stuff.
Awesome. All the links are down below, guys. So definitely go make sure to go check her website, her Twitter, her Instagram, and her Facebook, and her IMDb. You guys can keep updated to what she's up to on all those platforms. And before we go, Dee, I'm just going to get you to do a plug for the show. Simply just state your name and say you're watching Geek Out Cinema.
Hey guys, I'm Dee Wallace, and you're watching Geek Out Cinema.
That was awesome.
One take, baby.
One take, exactly. It was beautiful. Thank you again, Dee. This really means a lot to me that you took the time today. Real honor to be able to speak to you. And reconnect once again, because I met you a few times. And as I said, guys, if you ever get a chance to meet Dee Wallace, go meet her. She's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And she's a real legend. And we're lucky that she's shared a lot of her talent with the world. And within like the last, man, like decades. Like you've been doing this for so long. So you have. So we look forward to, seeing your newest projects and where you're going to be up to. I'm super excited. And hopefully I'll see you at another convention soon.
I will look forward to that, Stephen. Thank you. And thanks to everybody out there. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.